Think back to the moment you first realized a pocket change coin might be worth far more than its face value. That rush of discovery, that spark of curiosity, it's exactly what happens when you hold a 1979 Washington quarter showing a minting anomaly. Today you're about to join an exclusive club of collectors who know to look for the rare error varieties of this seemingly ordinary coin. One glance under a loupe, and you'll see how a tiny misstrike, a double date, or a misplaced mint mark can turn a common circulation piece into a prize worth hundreds, even thousands, of dollars. Strap in, because the story behind the 1979 quarter and its most coveted misprints is as rich as the silver it once replaced over 2 centuries ago. The year 1979 marked the dawn of a new era for the Washington quarter, following its 1976 bicentennial celebration release. While the design hadn't changed, the familiar profile of George Washington facing left remained, but production techniques had evolved. Struck in copper-nickel clad instead of silver, these quarters rolled off Philadelphia's and Denver's presses by the millions. Yet even in mass production, perfection can slip through the cracks. It's in those cracks that collectors find treasure. Within months of striking millions, the U.S. Mint faced die wear and subtle shifts in pressure, creating unexpected doubling or repunched mint marks that now signal a rare find. When examining a 1979 quarter under magnification, the first thing to check is the date doubling. True double-die quarters reveal clear, raised lines duplicating portions of the numerals, most often the 2 on the far right of 1979. These extra lines aren't merely surface scratches, they're a second impression left by a misaligned die. Another popular variety features the mint mark, either the D for Denver or a blank for Philadelphia, repunched so faint traces of an earlier, slightly offset mint mark remain visible. Spotting those ghostly marks requires patience and a sharp eye, but they transform a piece of common change into a conversation starter. Beyond the double date and repunched mint mark, a handful of other quirks can elevate value. Die clashes occur when the obverse and reverse dies contact each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly images of Washington's profile on the coin's reverse. Die cracks, tiny fractures in the die, can streak across the coin like lightning veins of raised metal. And on rare occasions, planchet flaws or lamination errors peel away part of the outer layer, revealing the coin's inner core. Each category of error has collectors salivating, but the true standout remains the properly attributed double die, which often commands the highest premiums. Values for these error quarters vary wildly depending on rarity and condition. A standard 1979 D double die quarter, clearly showing doubling on the last 2 digits of the date and graded MS-65 by a respected third party, recently sold for nearly $1,200 at auction. In contrast, a heavily worn circulation find with faint doubling might fetch just $50 to $75 among dealers. The highest graded specimens, those certified MS-67 or MS-68, have surged past $2,000 when bidding heated up during peak error collecting seasons. Even the repunched mint mark varieties, often more subtle than the double die, routinely achieve $200 to $400 in mid-level mint state grades, with the finest examples pushing into the low 4-figure range. Auction records tell the story of how demand drives prices ever higher. In March 2024, one of the sharpest 1979 D double dies sold through Heritage Auctions for $2,375, setting a new benchmark for that variety. At the same event, a pristine MS-67 example of the Philadelphia double die whispered across the block for $1,800. The excitement peaked when an MS-68 from Denver, nearly flawless, sparked a bidding war that ended at $2,650. These headline-grabbing sales underscore how condition, rarity, and market trends converge to elevate an otherwise ordinary government-issued piece to collectible stardom. But errors aren't the only reason collectors prize the 1979 quarter. Cultural context adds layers of intrigue. Released during a period of high inflation and shifting monetary policy, these quarters carried the nation's portrait through grocery aisles and gas stations alike. Stories from error hunters who sussed out rare examples at the local bank become legend among hobbyists, tales of finding a double die in a roll destined for the coin tray at a fast food joint. One collector recounts swapping a handful of error-free rolls for a single quarter intriguingly marked, a trade that turned a casual weekend hunt into a small fortune. Occasionally, a single discovery makes headlines. In 2019, an amateur numismatist uncovered a 1979 P double die during routine pocket change checking. The find, graded MS-66, sold shortly after for $1,100. Reports of such bankrolls discoveries fuel excitement and encourage even seasoned collectors to double-check their existing 1979 quarters. That cycle of discovery and sale only amplifies interest, drawing fresh eyes to a series long thought too common to excite. Understanding how condition influences value is crucial. Circulated quarters, those that have passed through countless hands, display wear across raised surfaces, Washington's hair, the eagle's feathers, blunting the appearance of doubling. These examples might still clear $50 if doubling is discernible, but they remain accessible for those testing their error-spotting skills. Mint state pieces, however, retain sharp detail and bright surfaces. At grades MS-63 to MS-64, double dies can fetch $300 to $500, at MS-65, prices jump to $800 or higher, and at MS-67+, you're firmly in four-figure territory. Even within mint states, nuance matters. A coin displaying original luster with few hairlines outshines one marred by bag marks or contact spots. Coins graded PF boxes, proof strikes intended for collectors, carry their own premium, often selling for 50 to 75% more than circulation strikes of equal grade, given their superior finish and lower mintage. Repunched mint mark errors respond similarly. A flawless MS-67 specimen of a 1979 DRPM can command up to $1,500, while a modestly worn version might be under $200. As you scrutinize your own pockets or collections, remember that lighting and tools shape your view. A bright white LED lamp and a 10x loop reveal nuances invisible under streetlight. Rotating the coin at different angles uncovers doubling lines or die cracks that hide in shadow. Always consult up-to-date price guides and auction archives before making a purchase or sale. And when you uncover a particularly sharp example, consider sending it in for third-party grading. Certification adds a layer of trust that often translates into higher realized values. With the 1979 quarters story laid out, from its humble circulation origins to the heights of auction glory, you're now prepped to tackle today's second featured piece. Stay tuned for another chapter of mistakes turned masterstrokes, where a different year tells its own tale of rarity and reward. And now, shifting gears from the bustling drama of 1979's double dies, let's turn back the clock 7 years to a coin that has quietly captured the hearts of seasoned collectors, the 1972 Washington quarter. On its face, this issue seems perfectly ordinary, yet beneath its copper-nickel sheen lies a world of subtle variations and rare errors that can send value soaring. With a closer look, you'll discover that factors like die alignment, mint mark placement, and planchet integrity transform a roll-fresh quarter into a sought-after treasure. In 1972, the U.S. Mint continued producing Washington quarters in massive numbers, over 1.6 billion pieces combined between Philadelphia and Denver. Yet even with robust quality controls, imperfections slipped through. One of the most tantalizing varieties from this year is the double die obverse, which reveals a pronounced doubling on the Liberty Bell-like details of the eagle's feathers and on portions of Washington's profile. Inspecting these quarters under a 10x loop often uncovers the telltale second strike appearance along the hair strands and united in the legend, a sign that the hubbing process misaligned ever so slightly. Beyond doubling, 1972 quarters exhibit notable repunched mint marks on the Denver strikes. Look for coins bearing a D that seems to sport an extra shadow or ghost of its former self. These repunched mint marks, or RPMs, occur when the mint mark punch shifts between impressions, leaving faint traces of its initial placement. These ghostly outlines might only reveal themselves under reflected light, but when spotted, they instantly elevate the coin from a pocket find to a certified rarity. Planchet issues also define the 1972 quarter's appeal. Planchet laminations, where the outer plating peels away in thin strips, can expose the core and create dramatic visual textures. Some specimens show large flake-off areas, making each coin uniquely stunning. Then there are clipped planchets, where a missing wedge hints at a planchet blank that never fully sheared from the strip. These clipped variations range from small, circle clips, to more pronounced, irregular clips, and each size and shape commands different price levels on the market. When it comes to values, certified double-die obverse quarters in mint state grades lead the pack. A 1972 D double-die graded MS-66 sold recently for $1,100, while an MS-67 example climbed above $2,300 as collectors competed for the sharpest details. For Philadelphia double-dies, MS-65 coins often start around $700, with MS-66 pieces reaching $1,500 and the rare MS-67 inching past $2,000. RPMs on the Denver issues have also found their niche, with MS-65 coins routinely selling in the $300 to $500 range and top-end MS-67 specimens hitting $1,200 or more. Auction archives provide telling snapshots of demand. In June 2023, a pristine 1972 D double-die obverse achieved $2,650 at a major marketplace, setting a new high for that variety. That same auction saw a clipped planchet piece, graded $58 Australian due to its distinctive edge error, realize $450, a testament to how even non-die flaws can spark bidding wars. Last year's spring sale yielded a repunched mint mark quarter at MS-67 that closed at $1,350, underlining the steady appetite for RPMs. Collectors often share stories of finding 1972 errors in the most unlikely places. One group recounted unboxing freshly delivered bank rolls and pulling out a perfectly clean clipped planchet quarter, its edge bevel gleaming as if sculpted. Another veteran described spotting a repunched mint mark in a bag of circulation coins destined for a coin star machine, an unconventional hunt that ended with a windfall. These anecdotes underscore how real-world interactions with coins, whether at the bank, in pocket change, or in long-neglected coin bins, fuel the thrill of discovery. The cultural backdrop of 1972 adds further intrigue. That year, America was wrestling with economic challenges and shifting social landscapes, and these quarters quietly mirrored daily life. While heavy coins clinked in meter boxes and lucite jars, the misprinted varieties traveled unnoticed, tucked away in wallets and cash registers. Now, decades later, they represent a tangible link to a moment in time when minting technology and human oversight intersected imperfectly. Assessing condition remains paramount. Circulated 1972 quarters, even those exhibiting clear double dies or RPMs, generally bring in $50 to $150 depending on eye appeal. These affordable entry points allow collectors to hone their error-spotting skills. Once you step into mint state territory, prices jump significantly. MS-63 examples of double dies start at $400, MS-64 at $600, and MS-65 near $900. Beyond that, each grade up to MS-67 can double or even quadruple those baseline values, with pristine MS-67 plus pieces becoming centerpieces of advanced collections. Proof strikes from 1972 deserve their own spotlight. Designed with mirrored fields and frosted devices, these quarters were minted exclusively at San Francisco and carry an S mint mark. Although produced in lower numbers, proof double dies and planchet errors are rare. A 1972 S double die proof graded PR-67 sold for $3,200 last fall, showcasing how proof varieties can outpace business strikes. Collectors treasure these silky proofs not only for their beauty but also for the storytelling angle, errors on coins intended for perfection. For those considering submitting a 1972 quarter for grading, focus on specimens with original surfaces, minimal bag marks, and strong strike contrast. Keep in mind that flashes of golden toning or iridescent blues along the rims can enhance visual appeal, provided they're natural and even. When documenting a submission, include clear photographs highlighting the doubling on the obverse or the RPM under strong, oblique lighting. Detailed notes on planchet faults or clipped edges help certification services correctly attribute the variety and ensure accurate market placement. As you examine rolls or sift through existing collections, remember that patience pays off. Gradually build experience by comparing known examples to your finds, consulting updated error guides, and engaging with online forums that specialize in Washington quarter varieties. Over time, your eye will quickly pick up the slightest flicker of die doubling or the subtlest shadow of a repunched mint mark, turning what feels like routine coin checking into a treasure hunt with tangible rewards. With the second coin's narrative complete, from its robust production numbers to the nuanced errors hiding in plain sight, the stage is set for our wrap-up. In just a few moments, we'll tie together the lessons learned from both featured quarters, highlight the essential tools of the trade, and remind you how every worn bit of change holds the potential for discovery. Stay with me a moment longer as we wrap up today's journey through minting mishaps and market marvels.